Hey there, non-tubers. Today I'm roasting some winter vegetables and finishing it with a nice, sweet and savory bacon, sage, and maple sauce. It's gonna be so good. So one of my favorite times of the year is winter, and that's because it affords us the opportunity to have a lot of root vegetables that you can do so many things with. Today we're going to roast our root vegetables. I've got some pumpkin here, I got butternut squash, and I've got some acorn squash. So I'm going to start off with our butternut squash. I'm just going to go right through the middle here, set it on a flat edge, cut the ends off. It's really important that you use a sharp knife, because if you don't use a sharp knife, you can actually injure yourself. So discard that, throw that in there. I'm just going to peel the skin right off, and I'm following the natural anatomy of the vegetable, so you're not wasting the vegetable. I like to put the wider side down at the base. It just helps me have more control over how I'm peeling the squash. And I'm using most of the tip of my knife because, again, for control purposes. Now just cut it in half. So now I'm just going to discard the seeds, the spoon. And I'm just going to chop this into small pieces. And you don't have to have perfect slices, but just cut them into small cubes. Same thing with this side. I'm going to throw it on a sheet pan. So now a drizzle of olive oil right on top. Some salt. Simple seasoning. Now with my hands, which are my best tools, I'm just going to mix it all together. Make sure they're all evenly on the table, distributed on the sheet pan. I'm going to roast it in the oven. Now I've got some beautiful acorn squash that I've cut in half, and I'm working now just to remove the seeds. I cut this a little bit differently. I'm going to actually follow the ridges, but basically cut them into the same sizes. Now because these are a different size, I'm going to put them on a different sheet pan. Now for the pumpkin. So I'm just going to remove the top, lay it down on the flat side, and just cut it right in half. And then I'm going to cut it in half again. And you can see it's very similar to how we've been cutting up our other vegetables. Basically, it's the same concept. So remove the seeds, and just start slicing these into little wedges. Now just lay these on your sheet pan. I'm going to cover them with a little bit of olive oil. Actually, a generous amount of olive oil. Some salt. And some pepper. Just massage them together. And so now I'm going to put both my butternut squash and my pumpkin and squash into a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes until they're nice and fork tender. Got our butternut squash, our roasted acorn squash, and pumpkin. Boy, does that look good. But we're not done yet. We're going to add a sauce to it, which is going to be infused with a smoky bacon maple syrup glaze. We're going to have some sage butter on top. It's going to be really good. So I'm going to cut this bacon into thin strips, as it's called lardon. So I've got about 4 bacon strips here. You can totally do this without bacon, but let's be honest, guys, we all love bacon. Now to the cold pan. I'm going to bring it up to temperature. The reason why I'm adding it to a cold pan is so that the fat can just sort of relax and gradually and naturally and evenly melt instead of having some uneven cooking inside of the bacon. We'll let that come up to a nice crisp. Now to this bacon, I'm going to add some butter. Not a lot, just a little. I know it's a lot of fat going on. To do that, I'm going to add sage leaves, Just let them fry. They're really fragrant. Just want to allow them to awaken in that sauce. Now to that, I'm going to add some maple syrup and some sherry. I'm going to lower my temperature. It's almost like having candied bacon, maple candied bacon. Sage. It's gonna be good. Our butternut squash. Throw it right into this bowl. Isn't it pretty? The colors. It just says fall and winter. It's the best thing to do during the winter. Plus the oven keeps your house nice and warm. Then our acorn squash, our pumpkin. This is crazy good food. We're going to take our sauce and just glaze it right on top of those vegetables. Oh yeah. I'm going to take a few more sage leaves and just garnish it on the top. Nice and pretty and edible. I hate when I see garnishes on the plate that aren't edible. This is all edible, it's all delicious, and it's really easy. Check out these recipes and more at SonofASouthernChef.com. See you later.